Servus Freunde, my name is Oh, buddy, no. Have at least some decency.
Oh man!
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Dennis, the Bodymeister.
And today's film was directly picked for us by one of our Masala Meister Tea Patreon supporters. Vijay Akineni has been with us from the very beginning, and we are very happy to review his third pick today, which is the 1994 biographical drama Bandit Queen. If you want to pick something for us or simply gain early access to all our videos, please consider becoming a patron or YouTube member as well. Not only is it the best way to make your movie recommendations be heard, but it also helps tremendously to keep this channel alive.
Bandit Queen's based on the book India's Bandit Queen, the true story of Phulan Devi by author Mala Sen, which was released in 1993. The movie came out only 1 year later, which means that the production began almost immediately after the release of the book. The movie was written by Mala Sen and Ranjit Kapoor and directed by Shekhar Kapoor, who is probably most famous internationally for directing the movie Elizabeth with Cate Blanchett in 1998. Bandit Queen is more or less a one-woman show with actress Seema Biswas as Phulan Devi. The supporting cast consists of Nirmal Pandey, Govind Namdeo and many more. Even Manoj Bajpayee has a small role.
The movie's release was traversed by controversy. Phulan Devi fiercely disputed the movie's accuracy and fought to get it banned in India, but she withdrew her objections after the producers paid her £40,000, and then she supported the movie from there on. Author and activist Arundhati Roy charged director Shekhar Kapoor with exploiting Phulan Devi and mispresenting both her life and its meaning. She was also the one who encouraged Devi to take the filmmakers and Mala Sen to court.
As I said, the release of the book and the release of the movie lied close together. The events that the movie depicted ended in February of 1983, when Devi surrendered and started serving her prison sentence. In the year of the movie's release, Devi was released from prison, but her life after that was also extremely tumultuous. She had a career in politics, became a member of parliament for Mirzapur in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and on July 26 in 2001, she was murdered by 3 masked gunmen outside of her Delhi bungalow.
Bandit Queen falls into the category of movies that are almost unbearable hard to watch, but also movies that are immensely powerful, that uncompromising depiction of the horrors of man. Movies like Schindler's List, Hotel Rwanda, The Passion of the Christ or 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, Bandit Queen really is anything but an easy watch. There exist only very few lighter moments, and even those mostly get overrun by another tragic or horrifying event. And Devi's life was full of those. The one that stuck with me the most is her being abused and raped for days on end. I think it's 3 days in the movie. Somewhere I read it was 3 weeks in reality. Just terrible.
In the realm of exploitation movies, there's the subgenre of rape and revenge. And on a surface level, a huge amount of Bandit Queen is the depiction of all the inhumane cruelty Phulan Devi had to suffer through. Like we said, it's a very hard watch, and I think a lot of people will probably be enraged and disgusted by what is shown. And rightfully so in my mind. How something is perceived is of course quite subjective, and some might think the movie crosses a line. I think it also makes a difference if you watched it in 1994, when the person that is portrayed here was still alive, or if you watch it in 2020 with quite some distance to it. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't perceive Bandit Queen as exploitative at all, because it doesn't feel sensationalized. And it also doesn't really allow the viewer to get much catharsis when it comes to her taking revenge.
That's very true. When Phulan gets married at the age of 11 to this 40-year-old man, an unimaginable and cruel custom, and he demands his right to touch her and sleep with her, and she's screaming, "You're definitely on her side." Also later when she actually gets her revenge on that guy, and of course when she's getting abused time and time again, just for the reason of being a woman and of being a woman of lower caste. But her subsequent campaign and actions of course make her a person that's problematic and certainly debatable.
That's a good point, and it fits to what I said before. If we take the depiction of the massacre in Bhimai for example, our emotions are of course stirred by all the violence that was inflicted on Phulan Devi before, but the movie doesn't show it in a way that's giving her or us any kind of pleasure. Instead, it evokes this very oppressive feeling. We get many shots from above in which the men of the Thakur clan are pulled from their houses, rounded up, beaten and then shot.
It's like you're an observer, especially with those eagle-eye shots.
Yes, all this violence and how shattering and at the same time numbing it is reminded me of a scene in The Thin Red Line in which the Allied forces are attacking a small village and all this inhumanity is just becoming too much to take in.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you compare this scene from The Thin Red Line with the Bhimai massacre scene in Bandit Queen, we have two very different approaches when it comes to the music. In The Thin Red Line, we hear this emotional and maybe even heroic music that in a way counteracts the actions that the soldiers take. In Bandit Queen, we get a 3-note motive that plays for almost 10 minutes, and it displays this dry, desperate scenario that's filled with hate and chaos. It's a fantastic scene.
The music is very strong in general, and what you just said of course fits the overall very authentic and raw nature of this movie. How everything is shot, how everyone is acting, the quality of the production is super high, which doesn't mean that this is glossy in any way, just the opposite. You really feel all the dirt.
Absolutely. The makeup is also fantastic, especially the wounds with all the blood and dust and sand.
One of the things that fascinated me the most is the use of locations. Almost each and every scene in the film takes place at some kind of vastly impressive surrounding. All those ravines, the vast landscapes, wild fields, remote villages, I really felt as if I was there with the characters in that barren, godforsaken land where caste and gender issues are unfolding with utmost cruelty.
Yes, but I also think that we get a sense of how important these landscapes, how important this country is, especially for Fulan, and also for the bandits who use it for their advantage if possible.
Talking about the bandits, Vikram, played by Nirmal Pandey, is kind of the only person who is able to get close to Fulan. She endured so much up until she meets him that it's kind of a miracle that she's able to feel anything for someone, to even trust another man. There's this fantastic scene in which Fulan and Vikram are getting closer for the first time, and we can feel the trauma of a woman who has been raped so many times in her life.
Seema Biswas is outstanding. She earns all the praise. Aside from the raw production and direction, it's her performance that evokes this feeling of participating in this ordeal that Fulan Devi went through.
Absolutely. Now, I could be wrong, but it felt like the movie wasn't following any classic storytelling structure that's easily dividable in certain acts. We move through Fulan Devi's life and see important stages of her journey, but to me it felt more like a never-ending fight for survival.
Yes, the story makes a big leap at the beginning. We start in 1968 and jump to 1979. After that, those leaps become smaller, from 79 to 1980 to 1981, February, March, April, and finally to the 12th February 1983. And that works, the narrative has a good flow.
I love how even in the end the movie is still quite composed. It does show the impact her struggle has on the people in her country and how she influenced them, but it's not overdone or shown in any kind of hooray way.
That's true, but if there's one thing I'd criticize, it's that Fulan Devi's rise to become the Bandit Queen is still rather vague. We keep hearing how the media and the press hype her and declare her as Bandit Queen, but we never actually see that or understand it. This huge mass of followers is just there in 1983. Her being kind of this Robin Hood figure who fights for the rights of women and the lower castes could have certainly been fleshed out more.
That's a fair point, but you have to remember what Vikram tells her before he vanishes from her life. If you kill at least 20. Kill one and they'll hang you. Kill 20 and you'll be famous. They'll beg you to surrender and give you a pension.
Very true. So what would we say in German about Bandit Queen?
Bandit Queen macht schwer betroffen und lässt den Zuschauer uneingeschränkt am Martyrium von Fulan Devi teilhaben. Dass er dabei nicht reißerisch wird, ist dem guten Drehbuch und der sicheren Hand von Shekhar Kapur zu verdanken. Lob gehört aber vor allem auch Seema Biswas, die hier eine Glanzleistung abliefert. I give Bandit Queen 9 out of 10. It's more like 8.6, but I don't do that.
For me, it's 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.4, but I don't do that either. Did you know that there used to be an indie rock band from Manchester with the name Bandit Queen?
No, never heard of them.
Well, they only existed for about 5 years, but they named themselves after Fulan Devi's alias because they were inspired by her endurance, which is of course ironical for a band that didn't last very long.
True. So, what are your thoughts about Bandit Queen? Leave a comment and hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd, and also on Patreon, simply at The Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at The Bodymeister.
And if you're new to the channel, take a look around. We have reviewed about 200 indie movies until now, and we also have a special playlist for all the Hindi language ones that is linked in the description below. You can now also become a member of the channel and get exclusive rewards and even pick a movie directly for us to review. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like, and make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.